Jetstar has a notoriously bad reputation, particularly for delaying or cancelling flights. In the past, I've had experiences on the 787 matching this reputation, which is why I was quite surprised with how this flight went. So come along as we take a look what flying long haul on Jetstar is like these days.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another trip report. Today I'm here at Melbourne Tullamarine International Airport. I'm here at Terminal 2, the international terminal, and today I'm going to be flying Jetstar on board a Boeing 787 from here in Melbourne over to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. So let's head inside and find check-in. Welcome inside Terminal 2 of Melbourne Tullamarine, which handles all international flights. Across the check-in hall you'll find these departure boards displaying your check-in counter. The counter our flight was using today was check-in counter B. The line was super big. Priority is available to business class only, and with a business class cabin consisting of only 3 rows, I don't think I saw anyone in that line, so this was all the economy class queue. After almost 35 minutes in line, it was time to check in. Visas were needed during check-in, as well as the usual ID. Out of interest, I asked how much an upgrade to business would be, and the check-in staff told me it was $299 per person, which is actually a very reasonable price in my opinion. And if I hadn't paid for extras, I probably would have taken it. Anyways, now that check-in is finally done, it's now time to head through security. I was able to use the priority lane for baggage scan thanks to my Qantas Gold status, but the line was short anyway and it was very automated. Passport control was also very quick with plenty of automated scanners available. So all of this meant that security was done in a few minutes. Now, as we walk through the large amount of duty-free and high-end stores, allow me to tell you a bit about this airport. Melbourne International Airport is Australia's second busiest airport and the gateway to Greater Melbourne. The airport opened in 1970, as did the terminal we are in today, which has been progressively expanded ever since. The airport is colloquially known as Tullamarine Airport, because that's the suburb it's located in, and it's important to distinguish it from Melbourne's other 2 commercial airports. Essendon Airport, which before Tullamarine was Melbourne's main airport, but now only serves select regional destinations, and Avalon Airport, which is located closer to Geelong, from where Jetstar have a few domestic flights, as do Bonza. Unfortunately, Melbourne Tullamarine does not have a rail link, though in 2018 a plan was announced to create one. I'm not going to go in depth, but long story short, not long after starting the project, it was put on hold, and is now not estimated to be completed until 2029. So for now, the Skybus or 30-minute taxi ride to the city will have to do. Now that you know a bit more about this airport, let's make our way to the lounge. On the way you'll see plenty of shops to grab a bite to eat or drink. Before we head to the lounge, time for some plane spotting and more about Jetstar. Jetstar Airways, or just Jetstar, is a Melbourne-based low-cost airline, which started operations in 2004 as a wholly owned subsidiary of Qantas. Jetstar was launched in response to the then-new low-cost airline Virgin Blue, now known as Virgin Australia. At the end of the year, Jetstar Asia was launched, as a Singapore-based offshoot of Jetstar Airways. By the end of 2005, Jetstar seemed to be going well as they started international operations to Christchurch. In 2006, Jetstar started long-haul flights with A330s. In 2007, Qantas bought a stake in the Vietnam-based Pacific Airlines, which was relaunched as Jetstar Pacific in 2008. I actually took a flight with them later on this trip, so stay tuned to see the confusing state of the airline these days. Jetstar continued to expand its Asian offshoots in 2012, with the launch of Jetstar Japan, as well as the announcement of Jetstar Hong Kong, though that airline didn't end up flying. The next year, Jetstar had its first Boeing 787 delivered, which came into the fleet to replace the A330s, which ended up with Qantas. Jetstar also has some domestic flights in New Zealand operating under the same Jetstar Airways brand, and used to have some regional flights there as well. Jetstar currently operates a fleet of mostly A320 family aircraft, as well as 11 Boeing 787-8s, including the one we'll take today. If you're interested in seeing what their narrow bodies are like, I've flown on them all multiple times and have the reviews on my channel. Not too long ago, Jetstar announced refreshed cabins for their 787s, which will involve doubling the amount of business class seats, which will be refreshed alongside economy, as well as new crew rest areas allowing for longer flights, which sounds like a great thing, and most of it is. The economy seats will have the same features, but without the entertainment screens, which is something commonly missing on low-cost carriers. But as you'll see, Jetstar actually does have them on their current 787s. So while there will be Wi-Fi, streaming entertainment and device holders, having the Inflight map on in the background will be missed. Finally, I like to touch on Jetstar's reputation, which isn't great. Jetstar has a pretty horrible reputation amongst us Aussies, and not without reason. The main point that I do think is reasonable is their amount of
delays and cancellations, which is pretty bad. Having said that, domestically Jetstar isn't any worse than Qantas and VA at the moment. There are some things I'd like to note about Jetstar domestic flights, but I'll save that for another day. Internationally, prior to this flight, I had only terrible delays with Jetstar, with my first example being a 13-hour delay, and my most recent one being 5 hours, so I must admit, I went to the airport expecting a delay. Anyways, now that you know more about Jetstar, let's check out the lounge, which I have access to thanks to my Qantas Gold status. After going down what seems like a bit of a basement, we are now here at the Qantas Business Lounge, which is accessible to oneworld passengers with Sapphire status or business class, as well as eligible partner airline guests, which includes Jetstar passengers with Qantas Gold. This lounge has a variety of seating options to choose from, and is a fair size. The issues with this lounge are that it is quite old, the roof is low, there's no windows, and therefore no natural light. The lounge has a relaxed business kind of feel to it. Without further ado, let's take a look at the food on offer. There was a good selection of both Asian and Western food at the buffet, including curry, soup, and the stuff to make a toastie. As for drinks, there's quite a few drinks on offer, including tea, barista coffee, soft drinks, juice, beer, wine and spirits. The lounge staff were also really friendly. So overall, the lounge was very average, serves its purpose, but it's nothing to get to the airport early for. Thankfully, I believe Qantas plan to renovate this lounge soon, which is much needed. Oh, and there is shower facilities available. Now let's get out of the basement and have a look at our plane. Victor Hotel, Victor Kilo Juliet will be my ride to Ho Chi Minh City. It's a 2015 built Boeing 787-8, making it one of Jetstar's younger Dreamliners. This aircraft is equipped with GEnx engines. I've flown on this plane a couple times before, most recently to Bali in 2022, when there was the mechanical delay and there was a lot of speed tape on the wing, which it was good to see had since been fixed. Am I the only one that thinks the Jetstar livery looks best on the 787? Let me know in the comments below. Speaking of, what a stunning special livery this Sichuan A350 has. Anyways, it's now time to head to the gate, where there is a long line waiting for us.
Business class customers only at this stage, please come forward. This is a pre-boarding announcement and update on JETSTAR flight JQ63 to Ho Chi Minh. We shall commence boarding shortly. Welcome to enter the boarding area for pre-boarding purposes. So we'll be boarding from the rear of the aircraft moving forward. Passengers to rear Qantas Airways flight.
Thank you very much.
After business class, boarding was done by rows from back to front, so being in the front, we'll be among the last to board. Hi.
Hi, how you going? Oh.
Welcome on board.
Thanks to you guys. So just turn to your left there.
Thank you. With a friendly welcome from the crew, welcome aboard Jetstar's 787-8, featuring 314 Collins Aerospace Pinnacle seats in the standard 333 layout across one main cabin and a small mini cabin where I'll be seated today. In front of that, there's also a small business class cabin with 21 recliner seats in a 232 layout. My seat for today will be 12A. Beware of row 13, as there's no window. I believe it's often used for crew. It's now time to go through the seat features of seat 12A. First off, legroom is 30 inches or 76 centimetres, which is very average, but also not uncommon for a low-cost carrier. Next up, we have a seat back pocket containing a safety card, a menu, and some sick bags. There's also a tray table which you can pull down, push forward, or push it backwards, but it's not foldable. There's also an OK-sized IFE, which full access has to be purchased. At the bottom of it, there's a headphone jack and USB plug. On the overhead panels, you will find individual air vents. There's also universal power sockets. The seatback padding is not bad for a low-cost carrier. And finally, there's an adjustable headrest and recline where the seat moves forward, further limiting legroom. Overall, besides the legroom, a solid low-cost seat. By the way, the crew gave us some water upon request free of charge. It wasn't long before the efficient boarding process was completed, and a removed jet bridge revealed the fantastic engine view. It's now time for pushback, only 5 minutes behind schedule, which was very surprising for me.
As we prepare for takeoff, it is important that you are familiar with the safety features of this Boeing 787 aircraft. Please watch your crew members closer to you and listen carefully.
We want you to have a safe and enjoyable flight. Strap to tighten. Undo the seatbelt by lifting the buckle flap and then pull on the loose strap to tighten.
It's now time for takeoff on runway 16 on this beautiful summer's day.
The seatbelt sign still switch on, please remain seated. Once it's turned off, please limit your movements and do not change it unless speaking to one of the crew. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin and in the middle of the cabin, and they are fitted with baby chain tables and smoke detectors.
In case you didn't know, 787s have quite a unique feature where there's no window blind, rather a dimmer. Sometimes the crew lock them, and while they did change them after takeoff, they weren't locked, which was much appreciated. As you can see here, the IFE screens weren't in the best condition, with various small display issues with a few missing pixels on mine. Speaking of, let's take a quick look at what the entertainment screen has to offer. To fully unlock the IFE, it'll set you back $10 online or $13 on board. The IFE screens are super basic in that they don't move and there's no controls at the bottom. I counted 26 movies and estimate there to be more TV shows than that, as well as a few games, seat chat, and of course the basic information map is free of charge, along with some history and adverts of Jetstar if you fancy watching them. For the most part, other than that, you'll have to pay, either for the individual movie or full access. Overall, as far as IFE screens go, not very good, but it's a low-cost carrier, so I guess anything is better than nothing.
Climbing through an altitude of 31,000 feet on our way up to our initial climbing cruising altitude of 38,000 feet, which is just on 12 kilometres above the Earth's surface. If you haven't already done so, now would be an opportune moment to adjust your watches.
Before the first spy on board service began, the crew came around with water. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's a requirement for all Aussie airlines to provide water for free. After a detailed report from the pilot, it's now time for the first round of service, about an hour after takeoff. Before this flight, I noticed I seemed to have a $15 meal voucher, likely since I paid more to book through Qantas. Since I knew we'd have lounge access, I pre-ordered my meal for the second service before landing, and so I just got a chai and a fair serving of cookies for the $8 combo. The menu has recently had a bit of an update, mostly to do with the hot meals. You'll find quite a range of snacks and drinks to choose from at an average price for an Australian airline. There's also a few meals and some amenities and stuff that you can buy. Overall, a normal service from Jetstar with friendly crew and a good menu. It's a good idea to pre-order your meals since they get brought out first. The cookies were delicious and the chai was nice.
Having not paid for the IFE and not wanting to watch Jetstar ads, downloaded videos and the Australian Outback made up most of my entertainment. It's now time for a walk through the cabin and a quick lavatory review. Hello and welcome to the Jetstar 787 loo review. I think I'm in one of the centre loos. Okay, so you've got a nice sized basin here. You've got the standard trash bin, some tissues, soap, coat hook, and a baby change table, a small one. And the size is pretty standard for a wide body. Not small, you've got plenty of space to move around, but it's also not massive. Anyways, let's head back to the seat. Throughout the flight, the cabin was kept in a nice temperature and was pretty quiet. The crew also came around in the middle of the flight to collect more rubbish. The sun is now setting as we leave continental Australia. About 3 hours and 40 minutes before landing, so barely past halfway into the flight, the crew started the second meal service. This was a lot earlier than expected considering I recall the Jetstar website saying the second meal was served around 2 hours before landing. The combo I pre-ordered included a meal and in the photo it showed a hot drink, but I assumed you would be able to pick a cold drink instead since it's cheaper than the hot one. So when I tried to do that, I was surprised when the crew told me it was for hot drinks only. The drinks trolley came out before the food, so I got that first. My meal arrived about 30 minutes after I got my drink. I went for the teriyaki, vegetable hokkien and noodles. This was the lasagna. I also got an orange juice for $4. Wooden cutlery came with the meals. My noodles were alright. The sauce tasted artificial and lacked any real flavour. Apparently the lasagna was pretty good, so next time I'd go for something like that or even a toasty. Finally, the green tea was solid. They give you your own Twinings tea bag in it, so it can brew as much or as little as you want. Since there was still a fair bit of time before landing, I went for another look around the cabin. They should probably fix whatever this is on the lavatory door. Throughout the flight, there were patches of minor turbulence. The mood lighting has just been switched on about 45 minutes prior to our arrival. The crew soon came around to do a final rubbish collection.
Just on 920 kilometres an hour at this speed now, we are expecting to touch down into Ho Chi Minh at right on schedule at 5 minutes past 9 working time.
Your tray table must be stowed, armrests down, and your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please remove all cables from the seat back charging ports.
Children travelling with you is now fastened. The cabin crew team will now be seated for landing. Thank you.
Now, as we descend through some rain clouds with icicles and condensation on the window, I will now quickly conclude today's flight with Jetstar. Check-in at Tulla was okay, but there was a very long line. As for the Qantas lounge, it was very underwhelming. We boarded surprisingly on time, where we were met by friendly crew. The seats were solid for a low-cost carrier. For the first service, I just got a snack and saved my meal for the second service, which was earlier than expected, and my food wasn't great. We're now about to land on time in Ho Chi Minh City. So overall, by no means a special flight, but better than my previous flights with Jetstar since the flight was actually on time. I'd say it's what I wish you could expect from Jetstar, a mostly on time and average low cost experience. Unfortunately, you can't expect an on time flight from Jetstar. Keeping this in mind, moving on to the options for this trip. Jetstar operates 3 to 4 weekly flights on this route. VietJet now operates 3 daily red-eye flights, as well as daily Vietnam Airlines day flights. Both Jetstar and VietJet can have some bargain sale fares from $170, and from the two airlines considering the flight times, Jetstar is probably a better option. Vietnam Airlines starts from $500, and there are many other options with stopovers. So Jetstar does have a solid 787 seat and friendly crew, however are not one to rely on for punctuality. Lastly, Jetstar changed my meal selection after the menu change without my input, so I had to contact them through their live chat to get that changed, which thankfully works very well. That's it for the conclusion of today's trip report. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, I hope you'll enjoy the landing into Ho Chi Minh City despite the condensation.
Welcome to Ho Chi Minh City. The local time is 9 p.m. in the evening. Please keep your seatbelt fastened and remain seated until the seatbelt sign has been switched off. Smoking, vaping, and e-cigarettes are strictly prohibited inside the terminal. It's been our pleasure having you flying with us. We hope that you include JETSTAR in your future travel. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you. Welcome to Ho Chi Minh Nhat International Airport. So excited, it's my first time in Vietnam. Okay then, let's head down here and see where we can immigrate. By the way, I'm going to be doing hotel reviews from now on, well, when it makes sense to anyway, including here in Vietnam, so stay tuned for that, if it's not already out. Well then, I'd like to thank you all for watching today's video. Like and subscription if you enjoyed would be very much appreciated. It helps out the algorithm a lot, so if you enjoyed, then it would help more people see my video, therefore helping me to make more of these trip reports for you all. By the way, I do live updates on my Instagram at aviation763_, so feel free to check that out. And last but most certainly not least, thank you to all of my incredible Patreons for helping to make these videos possible. Their support is so much appreciated, and I couldn't do what I do without them, so thank you so much. Their names will be on screen now. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in my next one.
Welcome to Ho Chi Minh City. The local time is 9 p.m. in the evening. Please keep your seatbelt fastened and remain seated until the seatbelt sign has been switched off.